goal setting, how I go through. And for me, is more what am I seeking to do behind, like, example last year was, health and fitness and actually seeking healthy, and then the effect of the things that I thought would help measure that healthy life. I was going to train, I was going to put so many pounds of body fat or waste, but really, what most people consider 100 pounds, lift weights, but really look back to the goal being purpose and healthy lifestyle that fitness is the goal that I approach.
You make goals in your personal life, but you also have goals up too, right?
I do.
About your whiteboard.
Yeah, so it's my whiteboard that is constantly changing over. I have to make colored markers, and this white color office has multiple colors. And I write it when people come out, they actually I see that I'm working on the projects going on, which actually in ways because I get input, feedback from people. So last goals, Victoria, so I was going to achieve some of those that I was trying to be a top. That big piece is that from other realistic goal, given all the other around my circumstance. One thing that I've put on goals, and I've had people look at me and go, "Are you babies? No way to check here." So why? And there is a little bit of that challenge to think, but also being that input from others. Hey, maybe now's the time to.
Yeah, for us. So
I'm an Excel sheet guy through and through. I use it about anything. I would use it on myself if I thought it would be easier.
You share so many spreadsheets. I'm always so excited.
Yeah, I'm sure you're right. It doesn't count saving TD. You make that up clear because it comes from a sheet.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so for people like you, you love lists, you love spreadsheets, you love making attainable goals. You know when you're going to achieve that goal because you love to check it off, right?
I do. I love to check it off. And so that's another thing it's a cheat that I do. Or you could call it a life hack, I guess is how they refer to those now. So at least one of those things is something that I know I'm already working on. And I do that, or, I know I'm about to finish, just as a momentum builder for me personally. Like I have the kind of personality, I am a strong D in the DISC profile, if you know what that is. I'm an Enneagram 5, but in the workplace I'm more often an Enneagram 8, so I'm a very driven person. So really there's always at least one goal on there that's already in the works or that I know I'm about to complete so that I build some of that momentum. And I can work off of that because then it's not so demeaning when I don't succeed. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, stop here because she's about to walk behind.
You can't get in the camera, okay? Okay, so you're a list guy. You like to be able to write the goals down and mark them off or check them off to know that you did accomplish them.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Even to the point that at least one of my goals that I make for the year is something that I know is already in the works or I'm going to achieve it. And I do this personally and professionally as well. Just that idea that as a list guy, as an achiever, I'm very driven. And so having something that I know I can succeed at or it's almost completed kind of helps build that momentum so that when I'm starting to get frustrated, I'm starting to get impatient with my goals or how little I've been able to work on them or whatever the case may be, then at least I have some of that momentum built up and I can actually, it kind of energizes me and it helps me stay focused on the goal, I guess, so to speak, on the rest of the goals, some of the harder ones. Yeah.
Okay, and I just want to make sure that everybody understands that we are a married couple.
Yes.
For what I'm about to say.
Okay.
Because I am the complete opposite, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, I don't make resolutions.
She laughs at me every year when I send her my goals.
Because, at first I probably even thought it was a joke.
Well, even to the point that this year, so we've been married now 12 years, over 12 years at this point. So, even this year, she goes, "Why did you send me that email?" Which, in itself, as a husband, sending my wife an email spreadsheet of my goals, okay, I admit is a little ridiculous. But yes, you're the complete opposite to the point that you didn't even know why I sent you that email.
Sometimes I still have to Google, how do you add columns in an Excel spreadsheet to make sure I do it right.
Even planning this podcast stuff, we approach how we plan it out and storyboard it very differently.
Yes, we do. Okay, so
differently, yes.
I don't make resolutions.
Correct.
So
what do you do? So how do you
great question.
Really seek to grow and be purposeful and intentional? What does that look like for you?
Okay, so I don't think it's wrong to make resolutions. If that works for you, that's really wonderful. I'm glad that you do it. And when we were talking about this,
she's serious. She really does mean that.
I am serious. And when we were talking about this, I kind of looked at Brian and said, well, what do you want me to say? I don't make resolutions. I mean, what is this episode going to be about? So I feel very trapped in by resolutions because...
Would you say they stifle your creativity?
They stifle... I said this years ago in our marriage about a recipe.
Recipes.
Sometimes I don't like to follow them because they just stifle my creativity. What if I want to add a little more garlic powder, this time? What if it calls for a little more vanilla, Now, I do measure things. I do. I'm not the type that... But, I mean, it doesn't have to be exact, usually. And most things turn out, right?
I will say I don't struggle with my health because the lack of eating in our household, yes. I would 100% agree to that. Yeah.
Okay, so I kind of feel like resolutions kind of like trap me and box me in. And so like if I were to make a resolution, not that I can't, but just it's the part of me that says, ooh, if I don't accomplish that, I'm going to be really disappointed in myself. So it's not really like a driving factor to get me to do it.
Yeah.
Because I'm very critical of myself. And so it's more of a critical thing for me where I would just look at myself and think, I didn't accomplish that. I didn't get that done. I didn't, so like when
But you also, for the audience to know, like that doesn't mean you're scared of failure or those kind of pieces.
No.
And I think that's an important thing to kind of to flesh out a little bit.
No, I fail a lot. I fully admit my failures usually. I feel like that's the best way to confront them head on is be like, I really messed up, or I didn't do that right, or I have no idea what the answer is to your question. I just feel like that's the best way. But so I don't really make resolutions per se. I definitely don't make spreadsheets with goals in them. And objectives on how I'm going to accomplish them. I mean,
you also don't make a lot of lists either, for that matter.
I do make lists of places I have to go and things I have to buy, right?
But,
I do make
But
lists.
when I ask for that list, because whatever reason she can't run to the store, she can't provide that list to me because it's
all up here, right? I've got that running list.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are other moms that know exactly what I'm talking about.
I'm sure there are other dads and husbands that know what I'm talking about too.
Okay, so I do have goals. So as a wife, as a mother, as a teacher, a homeschool teacher, just in my worship life and my discipleship life, I do set goals for myself. So,
so what does that look like?
So I was just thinking about this. Okay, so like one goal I had for this year, but I didn't set it in January because I didn't come up with it in January. Like it was a busy time. Christmas is exhausting. I'm not ready to climb all these mountains after I just run a marathon of the month of December, Okay, so like one goal I set for myself this summer was to read books because I have not read since our babies were born, basically. I've been so exhausted for the last several years that reading was kind of the last thing on my mind, because I just and I mean, I guess I was always reading social media, reading articles, but not actually reading a book. So I really wanted my goal for the summer. We do a little bit of schooling, but we don't really do lessons every day. And so I wanted my goal to be able to see how many books I could read in the summer because I did think, should I set a number? And then I thought, no, because if I don't even get one book, I'm going to be mad at myself. I know I can read one book this summer. So instead of like trapping myself into a goal of 5, let me just see how many I can read. And I got to be honest, I don't even remember how many books I read this summer because that wasn't the point. The point was that I read this summer and I was really proud of myself. And now I'm really mad because I couldn't read a book fast enough from the library and I had to turn it in.
For us to watch it on Netflix.
And there's a movie that I need to read the book for, finish the book. There's another book I couldn't read fast enough, and I have to wait 2 weeks until my hold comes up again so I can finish the book. But, so that's I'm really proud of that goal this year, that I actually accomplished it. I didn't set some goal where I had to have a certain number, but it was attainable for me to just set a goal.
Well, and I think what's interesting hearing you talk about that, because I remember those conversations about the book, about reading books, and what both of us have the ultimate goals that we're going for are really kind of purpose-driven goals, meaning like you wanted to read more books, not necessarily setting a number of books that you're reading. Whereas, you know, like I wanted to really focus on what it means to live a healthy lifestyle, right? And there are different objectives to that goal. But I think that's important as we talk about, you know, being average disciples and living our lives on purpose with intention. You can hear our dog in the background. You know, I think... So what I find interesting about how you set your goals and even how I set my goals is, you know, we both were talking about a purpose versus like an actual specific objective, I think. And that's really important, I think, for us as we were talking about, dreaming about, thinking about the average disciple stuff is, you know, really that was a journey that we've been on together, whether we were doing this together or not, of really focusing on how are we purposeful in our life, how are we intentional about what we're doing, thinking through even, you know, where do we spend our money, companies we support, don't support with our financials, you know, those kind of things, and just really trying to focus on that purpose versus like, oh, I accomplished this task. You know, so reading the books is an opportunity for you to spend some time in your own world, encouraging yourself, imagining those kind of things, but there's a purpose behind it versus like, well, I read 10 books. Well, did those 10 books do anything for you? Did you gain anything from that? Did you know what I mean? I think that's a key point in how we both from very different perspectives approach the things that we do want to do every year in our life or whatever that time frame is.
Okay, so as we talk about you make goals, I don't make goals in the same way. So what does that mean for the average disciple?
I think it really means, so part of learning a healthy lifestyle and really focusing on that this year was a lot of the people that I listen to, podcasters, fitness influencers, etc. You know, the thing that kept rising to the top is the best diet plan or the best exercise plan is the one you'll be the most consistent with. You know, and so like at the end of the day, you know, you can argue the science of all of them, so on and so forth, but that was really freeing to hear, is like the one that is best for you is the one that you're consistent with. And so I think it's the same kind of principle with the goals or don't set goals. It'd be one thing to say, well, I don't set goals. You know, as an example, I want to read so many books and then never do anything with it. Well, right. Okay, that didn't work, right? It doesn't do any good for me to outline on a spreadsheet 6 objectives to every goal and then I never do anything with that. So whatever I think is going to work best for you, I think is one of the keys. And then the other one I think is input from others. You know, again, like you didn't mention this, but you and I had conversation around I want to be able to read more. Yeah. Well, what that then allowed me to do as her husband and as the dad of our children is, well, how do I make space so that my wife can actually achieve that? Whereas if you had kept that in your head, I would have been like, what's going on right now? Like, why is she in our bedroom and not out here with us as a family? This is our family time. Well, it's because she wants to read a book. You know, she wants to finish this book. Well, I know that, and you know some of the things like, well, why is he going off to the gym every morning? You know, like, gonna say, like with the healthy lifestyle, you know, you very much told me what you wanted to accomplish in a year, and I'm like, okay, whatever. I got the email. I didn't read the spreadsheet, but I at least got the email. I always open everything. Okay, so, but one thing is, you know, you invited me to join you with that goal. So you didn't necessarily say it needed to be my goal. You didn't tell me that, but you just invited me in on your healthy lifestyle journey, on your goal. And I think that's really important to invite the people in that you're closest to. And some that will have the biggest influence. Yeah, and not only did you invite me in, but you invited our children in. And so that they understood why you were going out to the gym. And then when we started doing it together, because you roped me into it, you know, like we started doing it together and we explained why that time was important for us, right? To be healthy. And you know, and again, going back to that purpose. And what you just said about what you learned about a workout, you taught me that so that I could understand that and be like, okay, I can make this goal too. I think I can do this. I can commit to this one workout plan, right? And we have, and again, to that point, then being in it together, not only does it, science will show you over and over again, it makes you more successful, but you know, again, as average disciples living our lives on purpose, I mean, think about the conversations we gotten to have with our kids, whether it's been going to the gym together or me saying, hey, mom wants some time. Well, I want mom to read to me. Okay, but mom needs to read, and being able to explain to our children why you get your own time and what that looks like. And it just, I think bringing other people in and not only inviting their feedback and their input, but like you're saying, bring them into that conversation is huge.
Well, and we've been able to encourage each other because then I like to tell you about every detail of the book I just read, and you listen to all of it.
If you've never heard of Painters or Pointers, I would encourage you to Google it because it's definitely a dynamic in relationships.
Oh, yeah. You point at those spreadsheets, and I like to paint a picture of everything I have just absorbed.
Yes.
Through a book.
Yeah, with a lot of details. Yeah, there's a lot of details to it. All right, so y'all have heard it. You can hold us accountable to it. You can even ask us how that's going. It's kind of why we're sharing it on the podcast for you guys. But as we wrap up, if this was helpful to you, if this was encouraging to you, we hope first that it was. But don't hesitate to share it with your friends. Don't hesitate to share it with your family, your circles, whatever that may be. At The Average Disciple, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, where you're catching this video as well. What else?